I'm so happy to see you.
I know. These are so fun. I like really look forward to our little chats, you know? And I'm home right now. Well, for one more day.
I see that.
And by home I mean like my parents' house, my childhood room. So it's nice.
This is where you were when we had our first, this was pre-Crag Chat, when it was just on a Hazelnutt on the Struggle Climbing Show. This was the location that you were at. Is it nice to go back to your childhood room? What's the feels like when you're back there?
I just lie on the floor a lot, like there.
Yeah.
And I look up at that mobile.
I love that. I think it's a, is it a mobile? Mobile? Mobile?
Mobile? Mobile?
Mobile?
Mobile.
It's not mobile. I can tell you that much.
I think it's a mobile.
How long has this room been your room?
That's a good question. It's like that ship question, you know, where it's like, if you keep changing the panels of the ship, at what point is it a new ship? But because I like changed this room so much. But I guess I moved to California. We moved to California when I was 9. I was 9 when we moved. So this like location has been my room since I was 9. But wow. Yeah, but the room has drastically changed. Like I think 4 years ago, something like that. I changed all the furniture. I like repainted the walls. And then the art just keeps changing.
You took down you had like high school musical posters everywhere and like Zac Efron.
Oh my God, no, even worse. Are you ready for this? So, because I didn't change it until not only after college, but because I moved out after college. And then the pandemic hit, so I moved back in. And now it's like, this is home base. But I was living abroad. I was living in Barcelona. And I came back after living in Barcelona. And I had all of these posters of climbers, like famous climbers in my room. But I knew them already. I knew them all. I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. I had to like take down the posters. So I was like, this is so weird. Like my friends are just on my wall. It was kind of a cool moment. I like gave them to my little sister. I was like, do you want these pictures of my friends? I don't know.
That is so cool though.
Do you know what I mean? Like I hadn't been home for a really long time and I kind of forgot, and I was like looking, I was like, oh, I met this person. Oh my God, I met this person. I'm like, I can't have their faces on my wall anymore. They're not like...
Who was it? Give me like a sample. We don't have to go through the whole poster catalog here, but like what were these iconic posters?
Well, one of the main ones that I had to take down right away was Chris Sharma, because I was living in Barcelona. I met him and I was just like, this is just too weird now that I like, it's not like we're friends, but like I know him and he knows me. And it was just like, I was like,
do you recall what was the poster? Was it him on like biography or
no?
Was it one of the Prana ones?
Yeah, I think it was one of the Prana ones. And he was his like leg was kicking out, I think.
Yeah. Just looking like the golden god that he is.
Yeah. And then I have a signed poster from Paige Klassen, who's like still kind of my like one of my idols.
Do you really?
But also, yeah. But I like know her now. But yeah, and she knows that. I fanned over her like when I first met her. I was like, oh my God.
Did you go to like a rock climbing festival and like wait in line and get her to sign a poster?
Yeah.
I love it. She's so badass.
I did, yeah. She's so cool. Yeah.
This is amazing. Okay, so instead of High School Musical, it was Climbers, and you've been there since it's interesting, like, my family's always been nomadic. I've never been in the same house for a long time, and I just think about, like, what it would be like to go back to my childhood. I grew up in Michigan, in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and there was a house that's, like, if I think about, like, my childhood house, it was from kindergarten to 6th grade. That's, like, the longest I think we ever stayed at any one house. We weren't like running from the law or anything like that, but we just like moved. We just, moved around. I ran into financial troubles and, moved from a house to a condo to an apartment and then to a different house. And anyway, so for me, it was different. Like the house changed, but the shipboard stayed the same. So I'd go from one house to the next. I would bring my same posters or my same things. So like I would kind of, each new space I went to, I would create out of the same like stuff that I had, but the room itself was never the one. But that room that I had when I was in elementary school was kind of like, maybe that would be like going back to my childhood home. And I think about what it would be like to go back there. And it seems like very like safe and comfortable. It's like returning to the womb. And so here you are, you're back in your womb.
I know. I feel so lucky. I know that like the fact that I even have the opportunity to come back home is just like such a privilege. And the reason why I've been able to like I guess my little theory is like my parents, they're so freaking stable. And I've had like such a stable upbringing, right? I'm like so fortunate. And that's kind of allowed me to be the chaotic, like traveling nomad that I am, because I always have had a place to come home and be safe. So it's like I don't need to be safe in my adult life because my parents did that for me. So I think that's like so, oh my God, like so lucky, you know, so grateful. Like you can be born anywhere and into any household. So the fact that I just have this like they don't travel. I mean, they're starting to travel more, but we didn't travel growing up. Like I'm telling you, like they are so much like we do the same things every day. And so for me, I was able to kind of like be like, okay, cool, that's like home. And now I can live this crazy life. And I'm so grateful for that, because who knows, like if life had been chaotic at home, like, you know, I don't know if I'd take as many risks, you know, especially like financially, right? Like I just went off and did my own thing, and I always know I can come home. So I think it's a big thing like climbers don't talk about, but I'm like, if you're a pro climber, like chances are like, you know, you come from a place of privilege. So I do too.
That's a really a poignant way of putting it, I think, and this applies beyond climbing, but if you have safety and security, it gives you that freedom, that confidence, that ability to invite a little bit of chaos, a little bit of insecurity. And I think like if you think about just the origins of rock climbing itself, and really that goes back to like mountaineering, you're talking about like rich, comfortable European men who were so comfortable, they were like, well, let me go out and climb a mountain because that'll bring some interest and some risk and some danger into my otherwise like very, very comfortable life. So it is interesting how that translates.
I just listened to like a little snippet on Instagram of Alex Honnold talking about that. And it's so funny because it's like just like about bringing fear into your life. And then of course I like went into the comment section because I was like, I have to see what people are saying about this. Because my first interaction was like, yeah, from a privileged white dude's perspective, of course, like you got to go into like this crazy zone to find risk in your life. And like, of course the comments reflected that, but it's like, it's true. And so I think that's also why we don't see all the diversity as well. Cause obviously like there's been barriers in order for me to like take these risks and like be scared on things that are totally non-consequential, that means that the rest of my life is like not that. So yeah, I just thought that's funny. That's like a full circle.
That is full circle. And it is, you know,
right?
For many of the people who are going to be listening to this or watching this, we are in that fortunate place of relative comfort and security. And so we do seek to learn about ourselves. And I don't think it's anything, you know, luck is a weird fucking thing. Like what you're born into, you have no control over like what you're born into. It's like, what do you do after that? Do you try to make the world a better place? Do you try to be a good person? Do you try to help other people? You know, do you enjoy what you've been giving, all of that? But if you are born into relative security and you have like a pretty comfortable life, then there is something special about putting yourself on the sharp end of a rope or getting out or trying something adventurous where you can learn a lot about yourself and the world that you live in. And so I understand what Alex is saying there. I probably understand what the people are saying in the comments as well.
Right. And not trying to shit on anyone for like finding that for themselves either, because it's like what you said, like it's so lucky. But I think just like the acknowledgement that there's like such a difference and like,
right,
you know, like, I always try to like acknowledge that at least. So like I have a home to come back to. It wasn't always like super easy. Like when I went off to live on my own, like that was a bit different. I didn't have a home to come back to, but like after the pandemic, after I moved back to the States, I was like, oh, like, yeah, this is different and it's special and it's lucky and all of that.
Yeah, I appreciate you always acknowledging that. I think you do a really good job of that because I think it helps others to acknowledge it as well. You know, it's interesting. I was just listening to this podcast interview with Tom Shadyac. You know, he was a big film director. So he directed Ace Ventura and Liar Liar and Bruce Almighty or Evan Almighty and, you know, like all the Jim Carrey movies and all that.
Yeah.
He became incredibly wealthy, incredibly wealthy, and then recognized that that was kind of like, it was not for him, you know, like he just wasn't feeling fulfilled. And he's basically ended up giving away almost all of his money and living a much more simple life. But now he lives in Memphis and is one of the people, I think the main backer of Memphis Rocks and bringing climbing into, you know, underserved communities and people whose lives aren't safe and aren't secure and aren't any of the things that we just talked about, but trying to bring some of that adventure and fun and, in his words, playfulness into the lives of people who maybe haven't had play, especially like youth who have had to grow up very quickly because of the circumstances that they're in. And I don't know, this isn't really neither here nor there. I'm not going to be able to speak to it as good as he does. But for those who are interested, Rich Roll interviewed him recently, and he talks about Memphis Rocks, and he talks about black ice, and they just sent another group of people from Memphis to Africa to climb the second tallest peak in Africa, and just the experiences that one can have, especially connecting with nature. And maybe it's less about the risk or the fear, because a lot of these kids or young adults are getting that in like their everyday life just in Memphis, but about like connecting with like awe and nature and all of these things that you get when you do go out into the wilderness and into the mountains.
Yeah. And I mean, there is something also to be said of like facing a fear that you can confront and like have control over, you know? So just like instead of maybe a lot of these like kids from these areas, they don't have control over their financial situation, like they're kids, you know, there's not much they can do. But when you go climbing, you have this fear that's presented that you do have, like you can do the climb, you can, you know, figure your way up it. So there is something to be said about that as well, introducing a fear that is like something that's attainable for them. So that's so awesome. Yeah, I've heard about, I mean, I've watched the little film on the project, and oh my gosh, what a cool thing. Yeah.
Yeah, highly recommend that. The next time you're logging some hours in the car. You know, it's interesting. The last time you and I talked, and Davis was on as well. I have no surprises for you in this one, Anna. We're just going to hang out.
We're just chilling.
Just a Crag Chat. I'll surprise you on the next one. We'll figure something out. But
yeah, we'll do like an every other.
Yeah, exactly. You. But yeah, that's maybe, I don't know. Let's talk about it.
It wouldn't be a surprise if we talked about it. So.
Very OCD. But what were we? Oh, so when we were talking, you were working on Peace, but you had not yet sent, but you were very confident. You were like, I think I'm going to send it next go. And then I think you did send it next go when we were talking. And then just recently, as we're recording this, the film that you put together about Peace came out. And I thought it was this beautiful, you know, everything that you do is like, it's kind of got its own vibe, right? And like the vibe for Peace, at least for me, it was like this love letter to nature and to connecting with nature. And the way you opened it and the shots you chose and the poem that you wrote and that you kind of like that opening intro that you did was like this love letter. And first of all, I thought it was a beautiful film. I really, really enjoyed it. And
thank you.
It was less about the climb. Like it wasn't your typical tries and falls and trains and then does. Like it was, I don't even think you featured any falling in it, if I recall. Like it was the climb, right?
It just did it. Yeah, it was just the movement. Yeah. It wasn't even okay. So a lot of parts were the actual send, but some of the close-ups is just the movement. Like it was after the send, I just did it again because it was that good. So some of the close-ups were not actually during the send, but most of I would say 80% of the climbing footage was me actually in the moment sending it. You can hear my breathing the whole time. Like I'm pretty in it.
That was the other theme. It was breathing. I mean, like it was such a visceral, like the breathing is what stood out. Like it was like this, like the intro was this connection to nature and this beautiful setting, and you're up there and like, oh my God, it's just like the domes and it's so gorgeous. And then en route, it was just this breathing, and you could just, it was almost like visceral for me. I've never done that climb. I would love to go up and see it at some point in time. It looks absolutely gorgeous up there, but I felt like I was experiencing this climb because my heart was racing when your heart was racing, and I was breathing when you were breathing, and it was like very raw. It was just a very personal connection I felt. Yeah, I'm curious, like, was that designed, like, or did you just see the footage and you just left it that way? Because oftentimes there's music and all sorts of stuff. Like, what went into the storytelling of Peace?
Oh my God, that's actually great because it was a lot went into it. So like, I don't know, you know how my normal films are like vlogs and stuff. So I like tried to document like the vulnerability of the process, and I like focus on like the falls. And I'm never usually not one to just throw up like a send video. You know, like I'd rather
Sure.
put the process. Like even when I sent the veteran, which is like a climb in Smith, I didn't even post the send video. I just posted like a day working it. And at the very end I just mentioned that, oh yeah, I sent it after this day. Like so
Yeah.
I think that's really important. So actually while I was climbing while I was climbing Peace, I was actually taking a lot of vlog footage of me like on the wall. I had like one rope solo day where I was just alone and I made this like bench, out of a 2x4 piece of wood and some slings. And I was like super proud of my little home that I made on the second ledge. Like I would like jug up the multi-pitch, and like it was just like a fun experience. And there were funny moments that were like classic to like me, I guess, where I was like, my friend Lisa came up and she taught me how to pee off the ledge. And there's like all these fun things that happened.
Yes.
And then I sent the I sent the climb, and I like felt like, oh my god, like this whole trip I've been so connected to nature. Like I've just been frolicking around in the meadows, like essentially without clothes, like for a whole week and climbing and stuff, just like totally free, kind of like how I feel like people should at least once in their life, experience nature like without any like societal bounds. And I was like, I don't really want to do another vlog video. Like it doesn't feel right to the, to the story. So I was like, okay, let me just like do like an ode to nature. And I think it really fit with like Peace. And so I had all these ideas and I was like writing a poem for it. And then I sat down with Ron Kauk for a few hours. We just had a conversation. We met at a cafe. And I remember we were like chatting.
He got the first descent on the route.
With him my poem. He got the first descent on the route about 30 years ago. I showed him some of the video footage and he was like, wow, that's just amazing. And we like relived the footage together. And I shared with him this poem that I wrote. And he was like, I love it. But he was like, because part of it was like the poem I had originally written. It took like a full day to write, like maybe multiple days. I don't know, the whole week. It kind of focused on maybe like not caring about the send and a little bit too much to where it's like, oh, like it doesn't matter because nothing matters. It was a little too existential. And he was like, but it does matter. It is meaningful. And I was like, oh. So like went back and I took a little bit more time and I kind of reworked the poem to like include like how meaningful nature is and just like pulled from the experience. I don't know. I'm rambling now, but it was just such a beautiful week. And it was never really about the process for me because the climb is just like in a level that isn't like gonna challenge me to the same extent that like maybe a harder climb would. So I kind of like, I rigged the lines the first day. The next day I top roped it. The third day I led it and fell. And then the fourth day I led it and sent. It's like, you know what I mean? There was no like question, right. I guess, if I was gonna do it. So I wasn't stressed about it. I don't know. It didn't have like those emotions. Like if you saw me fall, I'd be like, oh, okay. Like, all right. Oh yeah, I messed up the beta, whatever. Like I'm learning. And then when I sent it, it was just so powerful because it also was the heat wave. So it was like 80 degrees when I was climbing it. So suddenly I had all this self-doubt because I was like, oh no, like this is gonna be really hard actually because all the holds are so slippery because they're so small. But then I was like, I can probably still do it. So I like kind of like committed to just doing it anyways. And that's why I'm breathing so hard. And that's why I'm trying so freaking hard in the send video because like, it was 80 degrees and I'm holding onto these tiny things and I'm like slipping in my shoes. And I was just like using my breath to kind of like connect to nature in the climb. And it ended up being way more of a fight than I anticipated. And I thought that was like awesome. So I just like kept that all in. And I didn't want to mention even like sending, like, you know what I mean? It's like you just see me climb. It's like about the movement. It's not about the process. Man, I went off for a long time. It was obviously very special to me. And I'm going back to Tuolumne tomorrow because I loved it so much. And I just need like that. Like, I feel like it's just like a healing place. I think it might be my favorite place, Tuolumne Meadows. Yeah.
Oh God, the energy there is just beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that. It's so cool. You know, it's a short film but I found it to just be so personal and visceral, and I really connected with it. I mean, I just loved it. For those who are listening, just go watch it. We don't have to like talk about it for the next hour, but I'm really glad that you presented it the way that you did. And at first, as you're climbing, I'm like, oh, where's the fall going to be? Like, where are we going to find out the crux that the thing, and like, it just continued to surprise me that didn't happen in the most delightful way. That before it was over, I realized what you were doing. I was like, fuck yeah, this is so cool that we're just like experiencing this climb, this moment, this movement, this kind of snapshot. It was really great. So congratulations. I loved it. Wow. I really enjoyed it. And
thank you.
Crazy that it was hot too, because you still can see how small those holds are and like what you're standing on, and just these like tiny 2-finger things that you're like reaching over and pressing into. And the fact that it was hot out added a nice little level of spice. So it gave you a little more of a challenge than maybe it would have if it were 20 degrees cooler.
Yeah. And because it was like a slice, like a moment in the time, I didn't want to even like mention anything that like I don't know. It's like, it's almost like because it was such a beautiful climb, it almost like surpassed like the human experience in some ways. So I didn't want to like even mention a lot of like what was actually happening on that day.
Right.
I just wanted it to be kind of like this like, you know, beautiful ode to nature. So that's cool that that's a really cool insight that you were expecting me to like fall and like have a process, and then it didn't. Yeah, that's cool too.
Yeah.
I had some falls in there at first. And I was like, no, you can't. No, this isn't like, that's not the moment. That's too much time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like a twist ending because there was no twist. It was really cool. So yeah, congrats. And by the way, for those who want more, because I'm a patron of yours, you did release the vlog type kind of process and footage on Patreon. So there's more to it than the film that's up on YouTube. But let's bring it current, because I want to talk. You and I have been going through something similar here, although I think my lumbrical injury happened before yours. Mine happened in April. So I've got this right-hand lumbrical that I've been working through, and I would say like now it's probably 95% better. It's been a slow, to get the last 10% has been very slow. And I went out and tried hard last week on some routes at the Red that were like pockety and underclingy, and I had like some 2 and 3 finger stuff, and I was really scared to try hard, but I did, and I didn't get re-injured, and it didn't really hold me back too much, but it was just kind of like, it was just like, let me know. It was like, hey, I'm still here, you know, it just kind of like give me a little shot of pain every once in a while. And so I'm still working through that, but tell me about yours, and maybe we can like exchange rehab secrets here.
Yeah. Are you resting now? Like for a couple days? Like,
I now like that. Yeah, if I'm trying hard on anything that's like, it's totally fine, like lumbrical things, like if you got all fingers on, it's fine. So like if I just like do like a heavy hangboard or, you know, lifting on my force gauge or whatever type of thing, I'm fine. But if I'm climbing on pockets or like the moon board for whatever set it off, that's actually how the injury happened. I was climbing a very pockety route in the fall for my project, but I like grabbed this like vertical pinch on the moon board and then dropped a pinky while it was under tension. And that's kind of like what created the injury.
Right.
So I definitely take like a couple of days of full like rest after doing anything like that right now. But it's still, you know, I don't know. It's definitely not 100%. But again, this happened back in April. So it's been quite some time since then. When was yours? How did yours happen?
Mine was in June. I did it on Just Do It on the pockets, keeping your pockets there. And then I re-injured it at the gym because I thought it was fine like a month later, July. So July. And now it's August. Yeah. It's so annoying, isn't it? Because it's not like, I don't know, it's like good and bad, right? Because you can obviously still use other grip types. Like you use half crimp, full crimp, everything that uses, like I can do 3-finger drag. I don't know if you were able to do that. Yeah. But I just can't drop the first finger. So like this is the position I can't do with my middle 2 fingers straight. And it's like so annoying in a lot of ways because it's like, I don't know, I feel like it weakens my whole hand though. Did you notice that at all? Did it weaken your hand? Yeah. And I don't really know when it's better. Like it's slow. It's not like there was like a pop or anything like that, and I just have to keep massaging it out, and it just like I don't really know what the timeline is. And I've heard from people it's just like it's one of those things that can be chronic if you keep re-injuring it. And it's not like, I don't know, it's not like you pop a pulley and that sucks, you can't climb and stuff, but then it like recovers and then it gets better, and there's like this like timeline. Right. So I don't think there's like a timeline with this. I actually just called Tom Randall on the phone and I was like talking to him about it. I was like, okay, like, should I go back to Just Do It in the fall if I still have this like lumbrical issue? And his like advice, or should I, pick a different thing and like save that for another season? He was like, yeah, that one. He's like, if you re-injure it on the same hold, like you're facing like a chronic injury, you might not ever be able to do that hold again. I was like, oh. He's like, don't re-injure it too soon. And he was telling me he re-injured the same like lumbrical. I don't know if it's lumbrical or pull. It was like the same injury though on Recovery Drink. He like injured his finger, and then he went back 6 months later and he re-injured it. And now he thinks that climb is just like it's like that specific move he just like can't do because he went too soon to it, and he doesn't want to see me do that, to just do it and kind of have it be like the climb that got away. So
yeah, especially do it.
Oh, I know. It's like, and you know what? I'm trying to be like optimistic and be like, I'm only getting better each year. So hopefully, like, just do it whenever I get to it. It'll just be more and more attainable, you know? Like, right now, it would definitely be a reach. But, like, maybe in a year, it would be less of a reach, you know, and like so on and so forth. So that's what I'm telling myself. But yeah, I have a rice bucket. It was in my room, but I was watching Netflix yesterday downstairs in like the main living room area, and I like brought my rice bucket down and I like started doing my little like rice bucket thing. I think that's helping. And I massage out my lumbrical and also like all the way down my forearm where the injury kind of like stems from.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to show it like that part. Like my like,
yeah, it's really wild. For those who like haven't had it, it's like it radiates down. I mean, it just like, it goes from the palm all the way down, like through the forearm, like basically to the elbow. It's the craziest thing. And you can, I was doing full, like as long as 4 fingers were flat on an edge, I was doing full max hangs, fully weighting. Yeah. It's just that when it's this shearing effect, for those who like, I think I talked with Jared Vagey on a podcast about this, but like essentially it's where, I think it's where a tendon attaches to a muscle, which is very rare. Typically they attach to bones, but there's a muscle in your palm. And so like if you drop a finger on a hold or you're doing pocket stuff, it kind of creates this shearing effect. And so the healing is slower from what I understand. It's just like, yeah, you can still do weighted hangs. You could still do a lot of the things you would normally do. But as soon as you want to try to drop a finger, depending on what side it's on, like for you, it's your first finger. For me, it's my third or my fourth finger. That's where it starts to scream. So yeah, I can understand Tom's advice there. A, you're mobile and you can go find any number of other amazing climbs, which is great. And B, and I don't know if this was what happened to him on Recovery Drink, but I could see that even if the physical part of the injury wouldn't hold you back, if you're going to injure yourself multiple times on one like crux move, you're going to start to have like a mental injury around it and then just not want to do that move, you know?
Yeah, you'll like hold back, and it's like honestly, like that tension also makes you even more susceptible to injury. I was talking to another friend who had a lumbrical issue, a really close friend of mine, and he was like, "Oh, like definitely take the time that you need for it to heal." He's like, "But you got to start coming back, and your body's gonna like scream at you that it's like, or maybe not scream, but like kind of gently talk to you, being like, ooh, that still feels weird." And he was like, "But like if it's been enough time and it's healed," he's like, "you kind of have to like retrain your body to not have those signals, and it probably is healed." So I was like, oh, that's really interesting. He's like, yeah, like it like your body's going to be reserved and it's not going to want to make that, you know, that hold. And he's like, and you kind of have to like gently nudge it and not like take it as like, oh no, I'm still injured. And so I'm like, oh man, how tricky is this injury? You know, like, because it's probably like what you're saying, like you're able to use it pretty well, but it's still telling you, hey, like something's kind of off, but that might just be your body signals like in a pattern. You know, and that's what chronic injury basically is, right? So kind of like learning what the balance is. I'm probably going to start doing density hangs again on 2 fingers, like just hanging from 2 and 2 and just like working back up, and like pinch blocks too, kind of get that pinch.
Yeah, I think pinch blocks would be good. It's something I haven't done. Yeah. I've been doing some density hangs, although I haven't been hanging body weight, but I've been like doing off the ground lifts, you know, but just like kind of lightweight, like I'll like 25 pounds on 2 fingers, but I'll just hold it for like a minute. And that's felt good because like at first it'll start to kind of like, it'll be like signaling like there's pain here, there's pain or whatever. But by the time I'm like 30 or 40 seconds in, that signal has like quieted. And so that's, you know, I don't know. There's obviously I'm not like probably speaking in like medical terms here, but there's something about the mental side there, like your friend was saying, where it's like, you just have to recognize like you're going to be okay. And that's what happened to me. I went out to the Red a week ago and got on this like really cool 12B that was all like pockets and underclings, and I was really scared. But as I just like got in there and was psyched, I was trying hard, and although it was like signaling and it was like letting me know, it wasn't holding me back, you know? So like I was getting the signal like, oh, there's something going on here, but it's not like I was losing the grip. I was still able to pull the moves. It just was like letting me know that there was something there. So I think with time more and more, and I think that's with pulley injuries too. I haven't had a bad pulley injury, but like I've heard the same thing where it's like at some point in time it's healed and you just have to like relearn how to not worry about it essentially.
Yeah. I think it's good. I think it's smart to like not push it, but also to like gently kind of ease it back in. Yeah. So I'm not going back to just do it this season, unfortunately.
Yeah. So what's your deal? I was thinking like, should we, we should put it out there for listeners here. Like, do we get to vote where you go now? Like, are you going to like, is there like, we get to take control
yeah, there's a poll. Exactly. I'll just go wherever.
Well, I heard people
honestly like
this is like on the last thing that we were doing, or maybe it was a post that you did, but like I feel like people were like, oh, you put out a question like, oh, I'm looking for some 14Cs, and it was like, come do Pure Imagination, or come to Rungni, or come to the Red, or come to the New, and it seemed like there were no shortage of opinions out there on where you should be going next.
Yeah, that's the good thing. So like, if you know what the internet is, it's just filled with like people with audacious opinions, and then if you need audacious opinions, you can just use that to your advantage and be like,
right,
hey, what should I do?
Some good ideas?
So I did, and Pure Imagination and like the Red is definitely on my list, but there's some pockets in there. There's some pockets.
There's a lot of pockets.
All pockets. There's a lot of pockets. I was like, a lot of people were telling me to do this climb, and I see a lot of pockets on this climb. I was like, they tried. They tried. Yeah. It's on my list, but not yet. I have to be super safe. I'm going to head to Colorado. I'm going to go to Colorado.
Sick.
I've got a lot of friends there. Yeah, there's a lot of like options to climb. I have like a few climbs in mind. It's not, I really want to check out this 14B in the monastery, I believe it's called. I don't know. It's like beautiful. It looks beautiful. It's crimpy. We'll see. And there's like a ton of climbs around. So I just figured I'd just go. I have friends there, see what happens. And then fingers crossed, if everything feels okay, even on the crimps and everything like that, I will then head down to St. George.
Yeah. Sick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw you put out a bulletin for a room at St. George.
My little sister thinks I'm crazy. She's like, you're like asking people if there's housing, and I'm like, yeah. And then I was like, yeah, what else? Like, that's how I've always done it.
You did put a disclaimer. You're like, no creeper. No, please don't message me that you live in Texas and you've got a room for me.
Yeah, because that happens all the time. I'll be like, looking for a belay partner for like, because I travel alone, right? And I do a lot of things alone. So like sometimes I just like need a belay partner somewhere. I don't know anyone. I'm like, hey, looking for a belay partner here. And I just like get all these like weird people being like, well, I'm not at Smith, but like you could, if you fly to Texas, or like, oh, I'm not here, but like you should do this. And I'm like, oh my God, like the audacity of people to like I'm like, I have this specific climb that I'm ready to red point. And I'm like, I understand it's tough because I don't have a partner, you know what I mean? So I'm like always kind of like trying to be self-sufficient, but there's only so much I can do. So sometimes I just like, man, I'm really ready to like send a climb and I just don't have anyone to like belay me. So I go to the internet, which is, it is what it is. I know the risk I'm taking.
Right.
But there was a really nice response for Utah, and I have housing now. So it worked out.
Oh, sick. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, good. Yeah, there's a lot of good people in Utah, no doubt. So that's a good place to go. So when will that be? Is that going to be fall?
Yeah. So we're talking like October, November timeframe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Love. Okay, I want to talk more about this and also just like getting swole, because you're getting swole lately. So let's talk about that in a second. But let's do our job for a second and let's talk about Boulder Bear's caffeinated gummies. You guys,
I just got more.
Oh, let's go.
But I haven't actually opened up the package because I've been. Oh, hopefully that didn't show my address.
Should we do an unboxing video right now? Yeah.
Okay. Let me make sure the address is not faced out. Okay.
Great.
I don't know. I just got it and I just haven't had time to open it.
Is this the first unboxing video on a podcast ever? It's like can't see anything.
Okay, I'll narrate.
There you go.
I just used brute force to open up a package, which will probably annoy you if you have OCD. I'm so sorry, Brian. This is what I've learned from my friends who like things looking neat. They're like, you cut the cereal thing, and I'm like, I really
do need you to rip that flap off real quick, just real quick.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, thank you.
Right. I got you.
It's literally how my wife opens up every dried fruit thing or whatever. She rips the top off and then leaves an eighth of an inch attached. Like, just pull the thing off. It's got all of our packages have hangnail.
I just like leave things on. It's so bad. It's so disruptive.
You're a
it's
monster.
Chaotic. It's horrible. I'm so sorry. Okay, so not only do we get some more, like a big Boulder Bears jar, but also
travel packs.
Little travel packs. Isn't that nice?
Check it out. So I remember the last time we talked, I think you were on Peace. Or maybe it was something else, but you were like, you had like a Boulder Bear. You were just like going for a little. So for those who are listening who don't know Boulder Bears, our friend Matthew started this company and they're caffeinated gummy bears, you guys. You're already crushing gummy bears at the Crag. We all love climbers, like I think to a T are already crushing gummy bears. These have caffeine in them. So there's 20 milligrams of caffeine and 22 milligrams of collagen per gummy. And I'm caffeine sensitive, so I don't like if I drink like a cup of coffee, I have to I get shaky and I'm like running to the bathroom. Vanna White Anna is like doing a great job showing the products right now. For those who are seeing the video,
you're advertising it. Yeah.
But anyway,
like makeup while you're doing it.
You can just you can eat a couple of these. You don't have a bunch of like liquid like Red Bull or coffee or whatever sloshing around. You're trying to send. You don't need all that liquid in your tummy when you're trying to send. So you eat a couple of these Boulder Bears and it just gives you some energy and some focus. I don't know. How do you like to eat them? Or I mean, you probably eat them with your mouth like normal people. How do you like to use them?
Yeah. So I just put some in my hand first, and then I like that. I like. Then I like to bite their limbs off one by one. And I like, and their lives.
Make the voices.
Yeah. No, I love them for like climbing. Yeah, like bringing them up, especially like the little travel things. I think they have, because they have like the zip or the, what's that called? Like Ziploc kind of like closing. So you just like, you can like these little things and throw them in your, and throw them in your climbing pack. And it's really nice because like when I like haul up my stuff and if I'm tired, if I'm feeling really tired, I can just, pop a bear. And it's like you said, it's not like bringing up a whole extra thing. Like you don't have to haul like a coffee, container. It's just like, they just slide right in your pack. Yeah, I think they're great, especially if you're ever tired like I am before climbing. I don't know. I have like a lot of energy sometimes, but like sometimes I don't get the best sleep in my car. I don't know. It just depends. It's just like nice to have that little like, I feel like I need a little bit more energy, and you just like chew some of them and you're good to go.
Yeah, they're a happy little pick-me-up, and they're just like fun. I mean, it's candy, you guys, so it's like
it's candy.
It's fun. Yeah, it kind of like puts a smile on your face because it doesn't always have to be serious. So anyway, well, look, I'll put a link in the thing. You can get 15% off plus a free travel pack if you use code STRUGGLE over at boulderbears.com. Thank you, Boulder Bears, for being a sponsor. Okay, let's get back to talking about, speaking of like being well caffeinated and having energy. I'm still like straight up in my gonna get strong, but now I'm starting to like focus a lot on endurance as well. But like I need extra energy, so I'm hitting these before I go to the gym. Usually before like a moonboard session or a board session, like on the TB2. I'm gonna take like 4 of them so I can rip those holds off the board. But I'm also lifting a lot of weights right now. And you had a post recently where you're like getting swole. You're talking about like just you've been going hard. I think at the gym you've been doing a lot of stuff at the rock climbing gym. So what are your weekly? I know you're going to the Meadows here tomorrow, but like what are your training days looking like?
Oh man, so because I'm home and like I'm in a training block and it's summer, I kind of made a point to make sure I'm like fueling myself really well. Just because like, I mean, on the topic of like eating things that are helping us in our performance, I think it's also important to like fuel yourself well. And for me personally, when I go out climbing for long periods of time and I'm like out in nature and I'm like living out of my car, I tend to accidentally underfuel, and this is not something I want to do, but it just happens. I think like a lot of climbers can kind of share that experience. So when I go home, I actually actively try to gain some weight. I hope this isn't like, maybe I should put like a trigger warning on this. I don't know. I hope this isn't like something like bad to talk about, but I think it's really important that like I think more and more, especially after that like Yanya interview where she's like, I'm on the seafood diet. I see food and I eat it. I think it's just like really important that we know as athletes, it's important to get our calories in, and that's going to be essential for recovery and for me at home when I'm doing more powerful, lifting. And it also gives me a buffer. So now when I go to Tuolumne, if I'm out all day on the rock and it's hard to consume enough calories, I have like an extra few pounds that are there to like keep me, like recovering well and like climbing well and performing well. So I just want to like throw that out there. I feel like really good at a heavier weight, actually. I always feel super powerful, and I think it's super important because I know my body, and I know it will lose a few pounds when I go on these like big multi-month adventures, and I just like, yeah. So that's one thing. The first thing I did was like, okay, protein, eating, fill up a little bit, and it's great. It like feels so strong and confident. Oh, yeah. And yeah, so I'm gonna put that out there because I think that's like really positive information. Totally. And that lets me, lift and recover better. I'm still kind of figuring out my training schedule because I don't know, sometimes I get too psyched and I climb too much, and then I'm like, oh no, I need to take an extra day of rest or something. But right now, what my days are kind of looking like, I'm on like a 3-day cycle that I've found works for me. The first day I do like 20 millimeter edge pulls from the ground. After like warming up, right? Like these are just the exercises I'm doing. I'm doing one arm pull-up training because that's exciting and fun and good for my shoulder health. Yeah, I think that's like,
is that like using like a band, or how are you like taking weight off with a pulley? Okay, a band.
Yeah, so I'm like on the bar and I have a band, and then I'm like doing one arm training and working on my form. And I think those two things have replaced my 20 millimeter edge hangs, because I was doing max hangs with 20 millimeter edges maybe not last time we talked, but like right after we had chatted, like when I got home from Peace. And I realized like my shoulders were kind of giving out because I was trying to do one arm training and it was like not working my fingers very well, and it was like kind of like overworking my shoulders, and it was just like this weird, like I was like, oh, I should just split that up. So that's why I do edge pulls now. So that's kind of one of the main things. And then I'll do also some weights, but not to fatigue me. I'll just do like, I've been doing this like ballerina leg workout, some hanging core to like try to engage my lower body as well, because I've not been doing core, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna throw that in, and some kind of press like flies or something that'll like hit the chest, like the antagonists. So that's like day one. It kind of is, it's pretty sporadic, it's kind of chaotic, and sometimes I'll climb a little bit too. And then day two, experts are gonna hate me. They're gonna be like, this is a terrible training plan, but look, I'm getting stronger. I don't know what to say. It works for my body. So then day two, I'll like do a nice long warm up, and I'll do like micro hangs, like no weight, but like kind of like half crimping on like the 8s for whatever amount of time, and then some full crimping on 6s, things like that. And I kind of like work like the tinier edges without weight, and then I'll just have a climbing sesh, and I'll usually do a board sesh or something, and I'll just have fun and climb hard, and then try to end it with like some sort of like board climbing, like just like get the power and also kind of endurance, because I climbed for a while. So it's like, okay, maybe I'll do a 4x4 at the end, or maybe I'll do some circuits on the moon board, things like that. Cool. And then the next day I completely rest. I'm just like, I might do some like, I'll like walk or something, I don't know, but I'll just rest, and then I'll just repeat that. So like, I don't know if that's sick. Like, it feels good. I don't know. Working. It feels like I'm having. It's like heavy days,
lifting one day and climbing on the next day, and then rest and repeat. I mean, it seems like it's working really well for you. And then every once in a while, you're getting out and you're having these big days. So you're going out to the meadows tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll be there for a week or two. It's kind of a break, actually, like a training break. I've been training for a month now, so I'm like, whoa, that's a lot. That's a lot for my little outdoor head. So I'm gonna go outside now just to like give myself that like nature joy.
Is it gonna be hot out there?
No, it's gonna be perfect.
Oh, so cool. Good. That's great.
Yeah, it's like highs of 70, but like in the shade with wind, you're talking like in the morning, like 50s. Oh, it's gonna be perfect.
Gorgeous. And do you have a crew that you're meeting out there?
I'm just gonna go hang out with the Yosar team. So, cool. People who live there in the valley, like some friends, like guides, and I've injected myself into that group. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm coming back. So I just like live where the workers live.
That's
It's
great.
nice. I'm bringing them
I love it.
little treats. Yeah.
Cool.
What
Well,
about you? What's your
congrats.
training looking like?
Yeah. Well, I got yelled at. So here's the
Oh
thing is
no.
like, it's interesting with this show. I've got access to so many smart people. And, whether it's I'll have a conversation with Tom, and then I'll have a conversation with Eric Hurst, and then I'll have a conversation with Jesse Firestone, and I'll have a conversation with Nate Drolet, and, I'll talk with Hazel Finlay, or just like athletes that I'm talking to, Paige and Michaela, and like all these.
Yeah.
So like, it's basically like every conversation I have, I come out of it and I'm like, oh, I got to be doing that. It's like probably a little bit of what the listeners feel like when they listen to all these podcasts, because there's so many smart
Yeah.
people and there's so many good ideas out there, and you really have to figure out what works for you. And I've been figuring out what works for me. And, I'm predominantly a Red River Gorge climber. I'll take some trips. I was out in the valley a month ago, and I'll take like a bouldering trip a year. I go out to like Leavenworth or Craft Boulders or something like that. I'm going to go out to the New River Gorge here soon enough, but I'm mostly like a Red River Gorge climber. So endurance-based, power endurance, like longer, pumpier, overhung climbs. And a lot of the training that I was doing was following more general kind of best practices, like build strength for X amount of weeks and then move and build some power endurance. And then, kind of more like this periodized type training. And then I went out and I climbed with Eric Hurst. This was a couple of months ago now. And I've been working on this 13A at the Red, and we went out climbing and we got on this 12B that I didn't expect to send, because that's still really hard for me. I've not done many of those at that grade. Usually they're like little mini projects, but I couldn't even get to the chains. And it wasn't because I couldn't pull hard moves. It was just because I was freaking flamed. I was so flamed, I couldn't even bolt to bolt. And so Eric was like, look,
Oh my God. Yeah.
you're a marathon runner. Like the Red River Gorge is like running marathons. And so like marathon runners have off seasons for sure, but they don't stop running. They don't just say like, oh, I'm just going to do some squats, or I'm just going to sprint. Like maybe they're not doing 50 miles a week, but they're probably still doing 20 miles a week or 30 miles a week. And so I had kind of like stopped low level, just like volume climbing. And so his point was, hey, if you're mostly going to climb at the Red, you can't really stop climbing. You still have to climb, even if it's just like one day a week on some real chill stuff, like climb for an hour, climb for a couple hours. So I've been working a lot more of that into my day. There's a long-winded way of saying that I'm still like, I'm working power in, I'm doing like one day a week on the moon board, but I'm trying to do a couple days a week now on routes, or we have a tread wall at one of the gyms that I go to. And so I'll just kind of, he calls it zone 2 climbing. So I'll just get on it and I'll climb 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off, but never get a sick pump, just kind of like a 7 or an 8, kind of on the perceived effort
like
scale.
Low intensity endurance.
Totally. Just for days. And I feel like that's ultimately what I'm going to need, because on my project last year, I thought it was the crux that was going to be the hard part for me, but it didn't. And it was fucking hard, but it's like a V5, maybe V5 plus or something like that. But it didn't take me too long to be able to get through that. But then there's like some maybe 12A climbing from there to the chains, and I just couldn't quite make it to the chains. And so I think if I just spend more time working on this endurance for a little while, because I don't spend a ton of time outdoors like other people that I know that, maybe spend 3-4 days climbing outdoors. Like I really just need to be intentional about doing that at the gym. So I'll do like a day of like power climbing, like on a board or the gym sets. And then I'll do a couple days like on auto belays or on the tread wall, just to try to build up that endurance so that when I can get back outside to the project, I'm not starting from scratch.
I love that. I think like that both your answer and my answer, even though we like talked about like we could talk about training for so long, could we? Like
Right.
You ask one training questions, we're just like, okay, so here's my whole life story.
Right.
But like I think what's the good takeaway, and probably from like all of the coaches and all the athletes who you talk to and stuff, is like, what are your goals? And then what are your like in that goal, what are the things that you're finding are limiting you? And then from there,
Mm.
that's where you kind of like take the direction of your training. Because I often see people kind of like without that goal mindset, and that's totally fine. But if you have like a specific goal, you can usually cater your training to that goal. And yours is, I'm climbing at the red a lot. So, and I seem to be limited by endurance. So of course you're going to be factoring in endurance training. So it's like, it's so clear, but it's like sometimes it helps just to talk it out. Because like for me, it's power endurance is like the thing that really limits me. And I had to like zoom in further into that because I was like, okay, but what is it in the power endurance that's limiting me? And I'm like, oh, it's like literally just power. Like I just need to get like stronger so I can have that power endurance as well. So I'm kind of like working both power and power endurance rather than like the slower endurance that you're working, because I know that that's not my like limiting factor in the climbing that I'm planning to do this season.
Yeah,
so it's just kind of cool, right? So like my training now is like power endurance. So I'm doing 4x4s instead of like long auto belay stuff. But it's like the same kind of idea. Like we each have a goal and we're like kind of using that. And then I targeted that my one arm hangs were really weak. So it's like, okay, now I'm doing one arm pull up training and I'm really focusing on that. So, that's kind of cool to see. I think it can get really overwhelming with all the information we have, and everyone's doing a different thing and everyone has a different body. So what works for someone isn't going to work for you, and someone's goals aren't going to be the same as your goals. So it really is so specific. And I change I change my plans all the time because I'm just like, oh, this isn't working for me. This is, so I'm going to like change this up. And I'm constantly in flux. Yeah.
I remember you talking about this. I think it was in the first interview that we had. We were talking about, maybe it was like Once Upon a Time or something like that, where you were talking about like, it's important to specify training for goals, but not to always add. Like, I think you were talking about like specific toe training that you were doing, but like you can't just train your toes like you were it's not like, oh, here's a new thing I'm going to do forever. It was like, I'm going to do this thing for a while and then I'm going to take it out because then I'm probably going to need something else to fill that spot. If like we just constantly collect different types of training, but don't prune out other ones, or at least swap them in and out depending on our goals or the season, then all of a sudden we're going to have 75 things that we need to train every time we train instead of like 15. So it's important to think about like, what do I need now and what don't I need now?
Yeah, like I was doing a lot of like band exercises for my shoulders because I've always targeted my shoulders as like a weak link. And that was really good for a moment in time. And I've definitely traded that for the one arm shoulder training and some like presses that kind of involve like the whole, like, like flies and I's and Y's and T's, like different shoulder training, because I felt like it was time to just replace. So it's almost like, oh, like I'm taking out this shoulder thing in exchange for this shoulder thing. And maybe I'll go back to the band at some point to like kind of switch it up a little bit. But yeah, it is like I'm not keeping everything in. I do still do pistol squat training. Forgot to mention that. That's good. But it's not a priority anymore. It used to be a priority when I was doing a lot of slabs. And now it's just like a side thing. Like if I can do one pistol squat on each leg, I'm happy. I like warm up to it. I do one. I'm like, great. Okay. That's where I need my legs at. I'm not trying to do like 10 like I was when I was slab climbing a lot more.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like build up my other muscles. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to check in as you prepare, because we'll do this again next month, but like for the monastery and other areas that you're going to be hitting in Colorado, and then to Georgetown, just to see like how things evolve, how things change, what you're swapping in and out. I remember talking with Tom about how he one year, or maybe it was a couple year period, he just decided that he wanted to go down a rabbit hole of endurance. And so he just decided to see how far he could get just maximizing endurance. And he did it, and it was a cool experiment, and he learned a lot and figured out how far he could go on that. And then he realized, okay, well, now I need to add more power, more strength. And it's kind of a fun experiment that we get to run with ourselves. Like if we're just climbing, like, we can kind of choose what rabbit hole we want to go down.
It keeps it so engaging. Like at the gym, I suddenly like, it's almost like you train your eyes to see certain climbs that you're trying to focus on. I don't know if you do this, but like, I'm like trying to work on my pinches right now. So I'll kind of like scan and be like, oh, pinches. Okay, there's some pinches, or there, like, and I'm like, it's like different. Or if I'm in a crimp stage, like right now, I'm really trying to train my crimps, and I'm looking for like long crimp lines that are on like, like slightly to very overhanging. walls just to train that specific thing. So I'm looking for like those, like, you know, like little tic tac crimp things with high feet, and my eyes go right to them. And it's like interesting how you can like see the same place so differently when you're focusing on different things.
I love it. I love it. It's great. Well, we'll check more in on that as we go along here. I want to get to some listener questions, and we can jam about a few other things here. But first, I want to talk about something that just doesn't have a good segue. Usually I'm like the king of good segues, but
okay.
I don't know. Maybe you can help me figure out a segue for this. I want to talk about Magnus's juice. Mag juice.
Don't I want to talk about Magnus's juice, Ryan?
Who doesn't want to talk about Magnus's juice? This is some world famous.
Spread it all over my feet.
Just for the fans.
Right in there. Just
only for the fans can you spread Magnus's juice between your toes. So Mag juice, we've now, for those who are like, what in the fuck is happening right now? Mag juice is liquid chalk from Rugni. Rugni is a sponsor of Crag Chats. They're sponsors of both Anna and myself here, so we love you, Rugni. But also, they make liquid chalk called Mag Juice, which has been out forever. I've been trying to get Mag Juice for a long time. I don't know if you get like special hookups because you're like one of their elite athletes, but I'm assuming on that hot 80-degree day on Peace, you wanted to keep your fingers as dry as possible. And so no doubt Mag Dust was in the chalk bag, but have you gotten your hands on some of Magnus's juice?
I've just emailed them actually today because I'm going to make a little video with their Mag Juice because they want that. Yeah, they do.
Which way?
They want me to make a little video with their Mag Dust. Rugby's so dirty for that. They're like, we know you'll do good with this.
They're so kinky. They're so kinky over there.
They're so kinky. They're like, they love it. When I like rub chocolate over me, they're like, more. I was like, I will give you more.
Anyway, you're literally.
We'll keep that.
You're gonna get banned from YouTube. Is the problem? Like, this is not gonna go well.
You know, I'll figure something else out then. Like, you know, like everything has its time.
Well, let's give them a plug because they support this Crag Chat, but also they make great stuff. And I will say this: I got some Mag Juice, and I'm a huge fan of liquid chalk because it's very, very humid and hot out here at the Red, especially right now. But like even at my gym, because like their HVAC is, you know, not the strongest. It's just like hot everywhere here in Kentucky right now. And so like I'll hit like the base layer of liquid chalk, Mag Juice, which is, there's just not a better name for a if you're into innuendo, Rungni has it figured out. So I'll hit the Mag Juice, and then I do find like legit, I do find that I need a lot less chalk. Like I don't have to chalk up as much because you've kind of like it kind of dries out the skin, and it's just got like a layer there that covers like every part of the palm and the fingers and all that. So I don't chalk up as much. And so when I'm out climbing at the Red or I'm at the gym, I'm using less chalk and my hands just feel better like on the holds or on a board. And so yeah, dig it. Anyway, they've been out of stock forever. Mag Juice is now in stock. So unless Anna just clears it all out for whatever insane, dirty video she's going to make, now is your time.
I've got an empty bathtub. and I'm going to need a lot of those little containers to fill it.
Gallon jugs of Mag Juice that you will re-container for the OnlyFans. I love it. So yeah, do you want to, I guess you haven't had the Mag Juice yet, so you can't speak to it yet. So you're just using your Mag Dust as usual.
I'm just using my Mag Dust, but Rugni's been so awesome to work with also. I know this isn't like obviously their product is great, but I think it's really cool when a company that's like advertising to climbers also supports like the climbers in the community. I think that's really awesome. And like I'm working with them for a YouTube video right now where they gave me like a huge box for prizes, and they're just like so supportive. They're like, yeah, let's do that. Yeah. We'll like send you over this. Because we had like a little competition, right? And I was like, do you guys want to get involved? And it's just like really nice to have a company that's like in the climbing sphere supporting climbing creators in the way that Mag Dust does. So I'm super excited to try Mag Juice. And yeah, I think that's just like something to say about the company in general. You know what I mean? Like we've all tried Mag Dust. It's great. Like that's all I use, you know?
Yeah, totally. And I echo that. I think it's so cool to see how many creators they're supporting out there. all the climbing brands out there, like they're not massive. They don't have huge, deep pockets, even like maybe like the hugest ones like Patagonia or something like that, North Face. But like most of the climbing brands out there they've got pretty limited budgets and they're just trying to do a good thing and support the community in the best way they can. So when you see Rungni supporting creators like yourself and so many great creators out there, it's really cool. So yeah, if you guys want to support Rungni, you can. You can hit the link in the notes and score, God, I want to say, is it 15% off using code STRUGGLE? And what's your code? You've got a code.
Hazelnut. 2 T's.
Hazelnut.
Yeah.
And I think it's 15% off, right? I think it's 15% off. Yeah.
I think so.
Anyway.
Yeah, 15% off. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Check it out.
there, right? With like hazelnut mag juice. I'm going to figure this out.
Oh.
As far as ads go. I'm going to get banned from Instagram again. But that's
You're getting banned. You're definitely getting banned.
So annoying. I think it's why I can't get the blue check. I'm never going to get the blue check, y'all. I'm just going to be
Have you applied for the blue check?
Like 8 times. I don't fit the requirements. So I don't know. What does that mean? They don't trust me.
I haven't even tried because I'm like, whatever. I don't have enough followers to warrant the blue check. But like, what do you mean the requirements? Like they don't think you're you?
That's the thing. I like send them my driver's license. I do all the you have to be like, the requirements are online, but basically you have to be like a relevant persona. I don't know, someone who like people would take like public interest. There would be public interest for. And then you have to prove that your name is your name. And in order to do this, because my tag is on a hazelnut, I actually put my real name now in my bio. So my tag is still on a hazelnut, and then my like real name on a hazelnut is like in the bio now. And I was like, great, this shouldn't be a problem, right? But for some reason, like they just won't approve me, and I don't know why. So anyways,
it's all your feet content that you've been putting up there. Probably.
I think it's yeah. I'm sure it's because I was banned like multiple
retribution.
Times.
Totally.
But like, don't other like celebrities do like way more promiscuous shit and like have blue checks?
Yeah, for sure.
That's
really weird.
I feel wronged.
Yeah. No, you totally are. I mean, that's the blue check is just supposed to be a way for those who are the public to know that you're you and not somebody who has some like fake on a hazelnut, account out there or whatever. Like they shouldn't be editorializing on whether they think content is valid or worthwhile or whatever. Like that's not their position. Their position is just to verify identities, and like your identity is worth verifying. That's really weird. All right, listeners, anybody internal at Instagram, reach out to me or Anna here, and let's get this like blue check thing sorted out for fuck's sake.
That would be great, actually, if that could happen. I don't know. I guess I don't really need a blue check, do I? But it just kind of feels like at a certain point I might want one, and I just can't get one, and I just feel like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it's like the club that won't let you in. You want to go in, and then you get in, and you're like, this club sucks, but at least I'm in.
On that point, Raya, you should accept my application. If anyone here is on Raya,
what's Raya?
Like, do you know it's like the exclusive like dating app that's like you need to like apply and they need to like accept your application. It's so messed up, but also they should also, while you're verifying my Instagram, they should accept my application.
Are you like that? Is this legitimate? Like you want to try to get on this exclusive dating app?
Yeah.
Because what? There's like better people on there. This sounds elitist, and you are not an elitist person.
No, it is elitist. It's 100% elitist. But you know how I like to get myself into things I don't belong in.
Are you looking for like? Is this like a sugar daddy or sugar mama situation?
No. Or I mean, it could be. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not gonna say it's not that. Like, it's whatever you want it to be. I'm sure it's like, I'm not gonna like say it's not that because it could be. But you just put your age. Like, I'll put my age range.
Look, I just feel like I just missed so much by falling in love and getting married before all of this stuff took off.
For you.
Mostly for the better, but every once in a while I'm like, God, I probably would have had a blast on Tinder or whatever.
Well, it's soul sucking. You don't want Tinder. It's all soul sucking, to be honest. So is Raya, I'm sure. You just like swipe on people's looks and not anything else. Is horrible. It's really bad. I actually don't recommend it. It's okay if Raya doesn't accept me, actually. But it would be fun to see what it is. I just want to see. I just want to know.
Yeah, you want to peek behind the curtain. It's like this weird like eyes wide shut, you know, like as everybody walking around naked with these weird fucking commedia masks on and doing like crazy shit. Yes.
And like my area code is LA, right? And I'm like, there's gotta be some people on here that like, I'm so like, you know what I mean? You're gonna like, there's gonna be like celebrities and stuff. And I'm so curious.
That's interesting.
That's what I'm saying. It's for celebrity. Like, yeah, no, like, how do you not want to just like peek, you know?
That's true, because like let's
I'm in LA,
try to empathize with celebrities for a second. There are celebrities out there who are just looking to have a relationship, and I understand like why they wouldn't be on Tinder, because they'd probably get blown up or whatever. So yeah. So how do celebrities find dating experiences? Yeah. Raya, I guess.
Well, this is how like Simone Biles and her husband met on Raya. Yeah.
Really? Oh my
he's
God!
Like an NFL player.
You could meet
like
an Olympian.
Yeah.
You could meet. You could date an Olympian.
I could.
All right, Raya people, if you're listening, forget the blue check on Instagram now. Now we're all in on Raya, and
who's that French pole vaulter?
Oh, so good. Oh, that was so good. Does this ring any bells? Yes. Oh my God. By the way, I'm all of a sudden bi-curious after seeing that pole vaulting video a few times. That guy wins the platinum medal. Holy shit.
Ooh, that's all I'm saying, right? That's all I'm saying. You gotta go on Raya, figure it out. I'm just curious. That's it.
This is my favorite thing about the Crag Chats are these like ancillary things we get to check in on. Like for a while we were checking in on your OnlyFans. You know, now we can check in on Raya. We'll just keep finding these like side quests that we can go on. How are the fans? Yes. Are the fans doing good? You're going to send them some mag juice?
Good, yeah. Yeah, they're good. They're good. I actually have quite a few fans right now, so I could always use more, obviously. Yeah. Like, it's good. I think I have like 27 or 28 fans right now, so that's pretty good for me. That's awesome. I'm not, that's great. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
I'm about to
go
back
so
to
good.
Call me, so, good content coming. Yeah.
Some beautiful, gorgeous, artistic toe content. You were even in your peace video.
Yeah.
You're out there swimming topless. You're just like bearing it all in nature.
That was reserved too. I put my like swim bottoms on because I was like, probably shouldn't be naked online. I'm yeah. I was gonna say I'm more naked on like my public sites than I am on OnlyFans, just because like you know what I mean, like.
Right. It's not that kind of OnlyFans people. It's very beautiful, tasteful, mostly feet content. But I am curious, like out there, because oftentimes when I go camping or hiking or whatever, like I love to like swim naked and just like walk around. It's just like, it's a very beautiful experience to just be in nature and like feel connected and natural in that way. But I guess in Yosemite, there's always the risk of like the hiking family that comes around the corner. So I don't know what thought process goes into how free you are when you're out there.
Tuolumne's like different. There's not many people. I just, I like,
you don't care
for that video. No, I don't. Yeah. For that video, we like kind of like did a little scramble solo thing up to the dome, the Lake of the Domes, and then swam there. And I don't know. Yeah. I was pretty much naked the whole time. I want to say it's really nice.
Beautiful.
I love it. It's nice because it's not like, it's freeing. It's not sexual. That's what's nice about it. It's like online. It would be different if I posted it in a way that wasn't like an ode to nature, right? Because it's just like the whole point isn't to be sexualized there. It's just like to be in your body and be like an animal and just like exist. So I think there's like a huge difference between that and then if I were to do that for OnlyFans. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying for me, that's not what I'm trying to do. But I'm very comfortable in my body. And I think that's like awesome. I think it's really cool to have like an opportunity to explore that.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's just such a beautiful way to be. Just being in nature and feeling connected to nature is just the absolute best. And for whatever that means to anybody, it's, it's great. But I think like shedding those, like the closer you can get to nature and especially like getting out of a tent and just sleeping in a hammock or sleeping on the dirt or in a cave or walking around naked. Yeah, there's just something so primal about that. It's a really unique experience. That'll be our challenge for the month. For those who are willing and able and interested, get out into nature and just take all your clothes off for a second. Just feel how it feels. It's awesome.
Yeah. Honestly, though, if you don't have that kind of access, because it's hard to find nature where you're not going to feel like you're looking over your shoulder and you don't want to be like naked in public, like even just like right. in your room or something and just like existing naked. Like, I don't know. I feel like people don't sit with their bodies that much. And I think it's like so with all these filters. I mean, we could say the same things, it's like the old and tried conversation about like seeing all these airbrushed people, these like perfect bodies online, and it's just like one pose and it's one angle, and you just like kind of lose touch with reality and just kind of like seeing your body and accepting it for what it is and knowing it's beautiful how it is. It's really nice. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And on that, like the body positivity from seeing all these beautiful, strong female athletes in the Olympics just like skyrocketed my self-esteem. I'm just like, yeah, like it's so nice to see strong bodies represented in media for women and being celebrated. Like they're like, these women are beautiful. And that's kind of like the resounding social media, I guess, like message I've been getting. And it's so cool because it's like, that's my body type. Like that's being represented, And that's nice because I always feel like every time I train more or I get, like I'm doing all these things to my body to be better at climbing, but it kind of pushes me further away from like the femininity, like feminine ideal that I was taught near LA growing up. And it's nice to like have other other examples of beautiful and have them relate to me and my body. Like I feel so much more comfortable already. Just like after watching the Olympics, I'm like, wow, like I love my muscles. This is great.
Hell yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, nice. I would say the same, except that I really came away from the Olympics feeling worse about myself because of that French pole vaulter.
All the pole vaulters, that was like a freaking love story. The guy who won, did you see him run over to his girlfriend after? I was like, oh, man.
I know it. So beautiful.
Pole vaulting, who'd have thunk? Like that whole event just had it all going for it. It's like,
I mean, it's pole vaulting. I mean, I think it's kind of right there. It's not much of a stretch.
It was in front of us the whole time.
It was right there. It attracts a certain endowment. Well, on that, I think this is a great place for us to wrap up our Crag Chat.
We've started.
Yep. We brought it right back down to the lowest common denominator, as we like to do here at the Struggle Climbing Show. I love seeing you, Anna. Great to catch up as always.
Yeah, good to see you. I look forward to our next chat. Who knows where that's going to go?
Nobody, but it will go.
No one.
It will definitely go. Is as Lynn Hill once famously said, it goes, Crag Chat. It goes. And that does it for another delightful Crag Chat with our friend Anna Hazelnutt. I don't think I could work any more innuendo into this thing, so I'm just going to take a hard stop before this conversation just gets too soft and flaccid and penis. Okay, there. Now I've just gone off to the cliff on this thing. And you know what? If you've made it this far into this Crag Chat here with Anna and Ryan and the madness that ensued, I think that means you are a true struggler out there. You love this show. You're not just popping in for the random Adam Andra episode. You are here to learn and to laugh and just be part of this community. And if there's one thing that I could ask of you for being a true struggler, it would be to come aboard and join as a patron, if you could. It's like $5 or $7 a month, or honestly, however much you want to just throw my way. It's a lot of work to make this show. I pay an editor, I pay a social media person, I pay a podcast consulting helper person. I have all these like tools that I pay for, like this editing software and recording platforms. And what do you care? You don't give a shit. But I just want you to know, like, it takes a lot of work. And by the way, all of those people that I work with are climbers. So when you come aboard as a patron, you're not only supporting me, but you're also supporting a few other stoked climbers to help them not only get more work and pay for their bills, but also to get out on some rocks. So anyway, being a part of the patron community or Apple subscriber, if that's where you listen, is really the best way to help us to keep cranking these out. But I totally understand, like if you can't do it, if you can't swing, a handful of bucks a month, there's a lot of subscriptions out there. I get it. And if right now you just can't do it, then the other way to support, which is totally zero cost, is to rate and review the show. That actually makes a huge difference. And you're probably rolling your eyes right now and be like, no, I don't have time, or I don't want to rate or review. Just you're listening to this show right now and the show is over. So wherever you're listening to this, if it's in Spotify or Apple or another player, if you could just give me a great rating and review if you like this show. And that'll really help, legitimately help the show to find more people. So thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. Thank you to Boulder Bears and Rungni for sponsoring these wild Crag Chats. That's another way to support the show, is to use those codes in your podcast player. Get yourself a discount, and it also lets those awesome brands know that you are supporting them and you're supporting the struggle. So maybe they will keep supporting me. So much support out there. Speaking of which, if I can support you, please let me know. I'll keep cranking out these interviews and having fun with this show. I hope that brings some joy to your life. But, if you've got any thoughts or questions or whatever, hit me up. I'm here for you. I hope you have an awesome, awesome week. Fall is right around the corner for those of us here in the Northern Hemisphere. I guess that would mean spring is right around the corner for those in the Southern Hemisphere. The shoulder seasons are coming. Let's get ready. Let's get psyched. And I will see you next week.